all people are manifestations, disguises of the total reality behind this cosmos. And that if that is so, there are not any mistakes in the world.
You've been on my mind for a while now. Feel like we've been lying for a while now. Your body shine like gold and I can't help when I touch you. Waiting on my soul weighs you down. We should let it go. I stuck around too long. The thought is on my mind to get away from you. Come up on my back, I only lose. Should've never been so quick to give my love away. I'm involved with two girls I can't. I've got this blood on my hands. I've got this blood on my hands. And the only things that we're afraid to talk about. I've been waiting for my heart to break. I've got this blood on my hands. I've got this blood on my hands. Quick trip into Japan, yeah, the flight way. Made a bad Asian thing, had the neck on ice age in the cartoon. Then I get on.
Good evening. Good evening from the Dominance Academy. This is your host, Mr. Justin. Fucking gorgeous day today in New York. Had a lot to do, so I didn't get out much. But tomorrow, it's a free day, and I'm going fucking riding at 7:30 in the morning. All right, so let's get into it. Adventures of D and Uncle Guns, thank you once again for putting up my links. All right, let's cycle out this music. That was a remix that I made. It was originally a house track, and I'm more of a fan of drum and bass, so I put that in there. But, so what we're going to be talking about tonight, I call it Kneel. And it was from an Instagram post of mine. It says, freedom comes in many forms. So, wanted to talk about this whole like twisted idea of how within submission there's this how do I describe this these opposing ideas of when you're contained, you're actually free, and when you're free, you're actually contained. And it's a bit of irony, just like there's always irony in the game. Pardon me. So yeah, there's a lot of ironies in the game, and that's one of them. A woman who is apparently free, like out in the world, making her own decisions and things like that, she's still subject to the entrapments of her mind, and that's where her biggest prison is. Pardon the red eyes. I took a shower just before getting on, and I ran out of Visine, so it's just from the water and the soap getting my eyes. I'm not stoned. I don't smoke anymore. I can't do that shit anymore. I ate way too much LSD and mushrooms when I was in college. And now, if I just smoke a little bit, I start hallucinating. So that's no fun. So it stopped being a recreational drug, and I can't use it anymore. But anyways, I wanted to talk about this idea of kneeling, and I wrote a bit of an article on the matter on Substack. So I'm going to start this off by reading off the article that I wrote here. So this is called Kneel, and it goes, True freedom is found in surrender, not in chaos, not in rebellion, but in the deliberate choice to yield, yielding to structure, to purpose, to something or someone worthy of your obedience. This kind of surrender does not erase a man. It refines him. It strips away the noise, the posturing, the false bravado that so many mistake for strength. What remains is clarity, intention, and grounded power. Most men are taught that control is the ultimate form of power. They're raised to believe that to let go is to fall, that to yield is to fail. They chase dominance through force, through resistance, through ego. But what they're really doing is avoiding depth. Control is reactive. It's fragile. It requires constant defense. It creates tension without resolution, presence without peace. Real power is found in mastery. Mastery is silent and still, built through deliberate effort and sustained discipline. It does not require loud declarations or constant motion. It requires commitment to a code. It requires focus, humility, and the courage to put oneself in service of something greater than the self. Mastery is not gained through domination of others, but through alignment with a principle that demands more from you than comfort or convenience ever could. To reach that level of alignment, surrender is necessary. Not passive resignation, but conscious offering. This kind of surrender becomes a channel. It connects instinct to intention, desire to direction. And when it is placed in the hands of someone strong, worthy, and clear, obedience becomes an act of power, not submission in the traditional sense. Obedience in the right hands is transformative. It sharpens the senses. It anchors the mind. It cultivates a kind of pleasure that goes beyond surface-level indulgence. Obedience builds trust, both in the one who receives it and the one who gives it. That trust creates safety. And within that safety, a new self begins to emerge, one that is more focused, more embodied, more alive. To stop fighting the leash is not to break. It is to recognize that the leash can be a lifeline, a symbol not of restriction, but of purpose. To wear it with pride is to step fully into the identity of one who chooses submission as a form of devotion, as a form of power. It is to honor your own need to be guided, molded, challenged, and transformed. Submission at its core is not about losing control. It's about giving control to someone who has earned it. It is about surrendering with intention, with clarity, and with strength. This kind of surrender becomes a path to self-discovery. It removes the layers of pretense and reveals the truth beneath. And in that truth, there's peace, there's power, there's freedom. The paradox is not a trick. It is the truth. When a man gives himself over fully, not recklessly, but with discernment and purpose, he is not diminished. He is elevated. He becomes more than he was. He becomes who he was meant to be. So that's my writing on the whole giving of the self and the identity and losing control as a submissive and what is required. Adventures of D. Question, out of subject, but have you ever read or listened to audiobooks of Conan the Barbarian's audiobooks and his women? He does not tell them or force them himself on them, yet by his energy there, looks like he ran out of space. Magically drown in because of who he is, because he may enjoy them, but he is not about them. He is about his adventure and discoveries. Which reminds me of what you speak about mental domination. Yeah. Pardon me. So just a quick note here. Adventures of D. Please use punctuation and complete clear sentences. How you communicate as a man is important, right? Both in written form and spoken form. It's a representation of you into the world. if you're having trouble spelling, or if you have trouble with dictation, or if you're having trouble with punctuation, that shows that you've slipped somewhere. Okay? I'm not trying to get on you, but I'm trying to help you so that you can present yourself better, cleaner, more upright. Okay? But yes, to your question, I haven't like gone through the audiobooks, but I've watched the Conan the Barbarian movies. And women weren't a thing to him. They really weren't. He didn't really give a shit. Yeah, what did he say? What is best in life? What's the quote? Oh shit. Yes, the Conan quote, the very famous Conan quote. And he says, what is best in life, right? And he asks like some other warrior, and he's like, the open steppe, fleet horse, falcons at your wrist, and the wind in your hair. And the Mongol general's like, no, it's wrong. Conan, what's best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. Like, he didn't want the women. He just wanted to hear their crying and suffering. That's some shit. Right? And they'd still want to fuck him. And then, like, black pillars and be like, yeah, because he's got, like, all these muscles and shit, and, like, a jawline. No. Okay, like, muscles are great and all. Jawline is great and all. I mean, unless you have, like, negative jaw. You see those guys, their face goes, like, in down here. You're fucked if you got one of those chins. But if you got, like, a normal chin, it's about how the woman feels. Okay, and muscles don't create emotional impact. I'm sorry, they don't. They really don't. If there's any emotion, it's just excitement, intrigue, interest. It's surface level. It doesn't penetrate her. If like last night we were talking about penetration, that shit doesn't penetrate a woman. Okay, they might like it. They'd be like, ooh, like let me touch you, but guys think that's a woman being interested. That is not a woman being interested. They shift. They have a massive emotional shift when a woman is really interested in you. And I tell you guys, like, if it's not a hell yes, it might as well be a no. Right? Like, in everything in my life, I only want hell yeses. If I'm doing business with a guy, I want a hell yes. I don't want to be like, I'll think about it. Let me mull this over. All right, fine. Get the fuck out of here. I don't care. Right? If you want to do a collab, let's make it a hell yes. I'm a hell yes. I want to work with other people who are a hell yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, work on it. Because this shit, cop that. Thank you, sir. I will make work on that. No, just thank you, sir. I will work on that. It's pretty straightforward. But I got you, yeah. But yeah, so back to that article, right? Kneeling. So if you guys have any questions about that, I mean, I know it seems pretty deep, but you see these women. Okay, let's look at. I mean, you guys love talking about modern women, right? So you're looking at the modern girl, right? What does she have? She's got her money. She's got her career. She's got her car. She's got perhaps even a home with a mortgage. She's got investments. She's got a wardrobe. She's got all sorts of shit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a network, a friend circle, lovers. Like, she seems like she's top of the world guy from like a number of years ago. All right. And the thing is, and so guys will look at that and go, wow, she's so free. She has all this advantage. She has all these options that she can do. Like, she has power in the world. Okay. And that, and on a worldly level, that's what power is. It's the ability to choose to do certain things. Like, you don't have to eat at McDonald's. You can choose to, or you can go to fucking, Blue Water Grill and spend $100 for a single piece of steak. So that's having power, is choice. So, at least on a worldly level. But, so she has all this flexibility, she has all this power, all this strength in the world, and she is a prisoner. And guys who don't understand women will think that she is free, and they'll say, well, what does she need me for? She's free, she's got all this power and choice and whatever. And you don't really know what's going on inside her head, and she has straight fucking chaos inside her head. Okay, God, my eyes are so fucking red. Excuse me for a second. All right, that's better. They still just have red sunglasses instead of red eyes. So, and she's the complete opposite of being surrendered. The modern woman is the absolute opposite of surrendered. She is trapped. She is confined. She has shackles around her, right? And a lot of times, like she won't even know. She won't even know that she's in this state. And that's what makes it so magical when she comes across a man of influence who can make her feel in a certain way and bring out this, well, not bring out, but drop away, like allow her to drop things away, and she can start tasting the sense of freedom. But at first, it's a little bit of a mind trick, because in order to do that, she has to let go of control. And this is counter to everything that she knows. So this is why, if you're, say, dating a modern Western woman who's like this, she may not even realize that she's in a state of suffering, that she is in a state that is completely detached from her core nature, right? And she won't even realize this, and until she gives you a chance, and you pave a pathway for her and say, okay, try this out. And there's many ways that one can experience a bit of submission, okay? But there's going to be a sense of resistance at first. And I've noticed this with clients of mine who they're married or they're in long-term relationships, and they're on a quest to shift the dynamic. They're on a quest to shift their egalitarian, balanced, democratic relationship into something a little bit more interesting, like a power dynamic or a polarized relationship. And and when they make that shift, there's this knee-jerk reaction in the woman, and the guy also has a reaction. Oftentimes, and you guys do this a lot, is that you try to reach for control too quickly and too harshly. All right. And for someone who is used to being in control, they're either going to resist, or if their control is linked to any kind of fear as a cope for fear, then you're just going to trigger them. So it becomes like an act of gentle coaxing, not in a manipulative way, but from a genuine perspective of, hey, it's okay. It's all right over here. You can let go of a little bit of control. It's not going to be an issue. And it's kind of like if you've ever rescued a dog, if you've ever picked one up from a kennel or a home where it's been abandoned or something like that, they get into this survival mode where they don't want to be touched. They think everyone is going to try to hurt them. And you can tell they're scared, but they're also quite vicious. So it's this like defensive ferocity that they're like, don't fucking come over here, right? And if you've ever dealt with a dog who's like that, you have to completely change the way you interact with that animal. Because if you try to come in with force, sure, if you come in with enough force, you can break that dog's spirit, okay, and make it submit to you. But that's really going to crush that dog's life, isn't it? I'm not life, but I meant light. It's going to crush the dog's light. And you don't want to do that, right? You don't want a scared, obedient animal. You want one that's joyfully obedient, happily obedient, one that feels free through obedience. And so you can't use force. If you want a decent book, read the book Power versus Force. But in order to make that happen, with that situation with a dog, you have to change your tactics. You have to come in gentle. You have to come in as an invitation, like, hey, it's all right. You can come over here. Look, I've got treats, right? It's not a trick. You can have a treat, and I got a whole huge bag of them. It's all good, right? And you like put a little treat, and even you extending your hand, he's like, So you just put it like far away from him, and then you back off, and you like let him eat the treat, and he's like, oh man, that was actually pretty good, and then you try to get close, and he's like, back the fuck off. And this sort of process can take days, weeks, or months. And the same sort of thing, I mean, I'm being drastic in my example, but the same sort of thing can happen with a woman who's experienced hardship, trauma, heartache, a lot of pain in some sort of way, and has coped with it by creating defenses. Now, like a lot of guys come to me with what they would consider problematic women, all right? Like women who are too tough, too demanding, too bitchy, too controlling, too like, I got this, too, I don't really need you, I'm good. Like just that, just dealing with like just a mass, like a hard mass, and they're like, what do I do? And I'm just like, bro, what's required in this situation is a skill set that you do not have. Like, you just see her and you're attracted to her and you just want to fuck. That's basically it. Okay. Just find a girl who's that interested in fucking you, and it'll be a lot easier. Okay. Because with the layers of cope and the defenses that she has protecting whatever the fuck is behind that armor, you don't have the skill, you don't have the patience, nor do you care enough, right? Because what would happen is if you got her to become vulnerable, remove all that shit, connect with you and all that stuff, now she's attached. And you're not ready for that either, because you're not a leader, right? And that can be burdensome, right? Like, truth be told, if you could choose women who don't have a fucked up background, right? I mean, I know it sounds harsh, but hey, we have our own versions of hypergamy, right? They want the best in genetics and, ability to protect and raise children and, have a good environment, like all that stuff that comes from their best choice of men if they could have them, right? Well, in our world, that has to do with the health of the woman, okay? Now, not just her physical health, of course, that's important. You don't want some fat piece of shit who's going to be dead from diabetes in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to have a heart attack from walking a flight of stairs. And you don't want her to be ill in the mind. You don't want her heart to be covered with scars. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you start looking at people in this way, if you start looking at women in this way and understands the headache that goes into dealing with a woman like this, then, you start looking past their beauty, right? Because she could be gorgeous, but if you are able to glimpse at certain behaviors, certain beliefs, her choices, how she speaks or whatever, you pick up on this idea that there's this very hurt little girl in there. And I have compassion to that. I have compassion to that hurt little girl. But honestly, I want to move forward easily. Okay? And I don't want to have to stop and tend to all of these weeds. You know what I'm saying? I just want to start planting seeds. Let's go. Come on. Right? People say it like calling it building. Well, it's hard to fucking build if one person on your team has a gimpy arm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I want somebody who's able fucking bodied. Just like women want someone who's able fucking bodied. Right? So don't, like, I don't care how fucking attractive she is. Don't fuck with her. Right? It's not worth your time. You're going to get just this plastic facade of a woman, and you're not going to be able to penetrate. Even if you had the skills to do it, it would be a huge waste of your time. Like, the only time that I would say that this is worthwhile is perhaps if, you were married for a while, and so there's already that commitment, and it's been okay, but you're noticing some depth and vulnerability resistance. And you're like, all right, I don't want to leave my wife. We built this whole thing, married years, we got kids, whatever. Like, that's the only time where I'd say, you know what? It might be worth it because she's your wife. You've spent time, you've built life together. Spend time working at her walls, okay? And I don't mean the walls in her pussy. I mean the walls in her mind. Working on the scars on her heart. And you guys, they'll be like, well, I don't want that fucking responsibility. It's like, well, then don't fucking call yourself a man, because men accept responsibility. That's part of being a leader, right? As part of being a leader is pulling people up, right? And if you're too fucking weak or whiny or impatient, like, those aren't characteristics of a leader, right? Leaders are not whiny. They don't fucking complain. They don't bitch and moan. They don't have a fucking chip on their shoulder. And they don't leave people behind. That's what leaders do. They pick people up. Now, I'm not saying to, save these women. That's not your job. Like I said, the only time that you should be doing that is like if you're discovering that that's something you need to do and you're already married, right? I don't mean a woman you've been with in a relationship for 5 years and you've got a kid. You're not married, okay? So it's different. Oh, it's just that little slut. Let's see here. My lord, I'm awake. Oh, no, it's a client. Yeah. Yeah, this new one, she's pretty good. She's a pretty good girl. So, but if you do find somebody who's, who's willing to follow you, right? She's, and you can sense this by their ability to take your correction, right? So, I don't know what's a good example, but let's just say, like, you're just having regular chat, sharing some tea, coffee, whatever, and you're telling a story and she interrupts you. And you say, hold up a second. I know you're new to me, but I don't tolerate being interrupted while I'm speaking. You'll never get that from me, so I expect never getting that from you. Do you understand? And if she goes, oh, yeah, you know what? I just got excited. I'm sorry. That'll never happen again. If she takes that correction, that immediate correction, because you always have to deal with this shit right away. You can't be like a week later and go, hey, remember we were having that conversation the other day about fucking, I don't know, organic food, and I was telling a story and you interrupted me? Like, you can't do that shit. Like, you have to address things right away the moment they happen. Okay? And don't be a fucking dick about it. Be like pleasantly firm. All right? Or relaxed and firm at the same time. And so if she responds in a way that is conducive to you, right? She's not, she doesn't have any attitude. She doesn't play dumb. Like, what do you mean? Right? Or blow you off and say, oh, that's nothing, don't worry about that, or like, why are you sweating this, or trying to divert the conversation or deflect from her ego being dented. If she's doing anything other than acknowledgement and apologizing, then that's letting you know that she might not be right for obedience, because that's a really simple thing. Okay, that's a really, really simple thing, just to not interrupt somebody while they're talking. Like, if they can't handle a tiny thing that is just basic decency, right? Basic human decency when in conversation with another person, then they're not going to be suited for the bigger stuff, right? You can go by way of giving small commands, okay? Really, really simple stuff that you would just do on your own, okay? Now, I don't mean like, well, if you're going to take a piss, call her into the bathroom to hold your dick. But I mean, if you were about to get up and grab an orange from the refrigerator and you say, hey, go grab me that orange from the refrigerator. It's in the bottom left drawer. And she's like, oh, okay. And she like hops up and pads off to the kitchen, and she pitter patters back with the orange. And if she like got you a napkin as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Because she's thinking like, oh, oranges are juicy. I don't want him to get juice all over his hands or his clothes or whatever. I'm going to get him this. So in order to get just a snapshot of like where she's coming from, where her mindset might be, you need small indicators, right? You can't just come out and be like, hey, are you obedient type? Like, how do you feel about obedience? That's not going to work. That's not going to be beneficial. Okay. So you have to test it in real time with real reactions. Okay. So if you said, hey, give me that orange, and or you could even make it a question. I don't like making things questions. Just say, hey, grab me that orange from the refrigerator. It's in the bottom left corner. But you can say, can you please get me that orange in the bottom left corner of the drawer? Right. If she's like, what are you talking about? Right. Or like, can't you get it yourself? You're a grown man. Go to the kitchen and get yourself the fucking orange. Right. No. Like, if you can't handle the very simple command, then you're not going to be able to handle anything else. Nothing you will be able to handle. Not at all. Because, like what I was saying in the article that I wrote, obedience, like in the right hands, like, so you got to be the right guy to handle her obedience. It has to be a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay. Is transformative for her, right? It, like I was saying, like the modern woman, how her brain is chaotic. She's got this armor and shit like that. She's got copes. She's got this like so-called identity. All that shit slips away. The mind becomes calm. They don't care so much for that identity, whatever they formed based on how they see themselves in accordance with the shit that they do and the things they built in life. Like, all that slips away, right? And the process can be somewhat uncomfortable, but ranging depending on the person who's doing it. But when they get there, they're completely free. The mind is far less active, all right? Especially in your presence. In your presence, the mind is way less active, all right? Like, after the initiation and the training and things like that, like, my subs are like kind of like relaxed and dumb, right? And I don't mean dumb as in like stupid, but just not a lot going on. And now that could be problematic for some guys, because some guys are like, well, I want like to have this like buddy thing. Like, my girl's like my best friend, and we like to chit chat and do each other's nails. And, we'll talk about like, what's the best place to go shopping and who has the best sales. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So like training your woman's minds to be less chaotic is probably not for you. All right, because you have a girly mind and you too want to share in that bouncing energy. Okay? Like in like the mountainous regions of men, there's no bouncing anything. Okay? There's stillness. There's relaxation. There's groundedness. All right? Their movement is slow. Now, I don't mean in terms of like sport or combat or whatever. I just mean like just the overall energy is slow because it's grounded, right? It's like a fucking Sherman tank, right? Or an M1A1. Granted, those things can be like, what, like, can they drive like 70, 75 miles an hour? They're fucking fast. But you know what I'm saying. Like a tractor. But you know, the female energy, it's active, it's bouncing. It's like it's crazy, like you know, like you know, air atoms, you know, atoms in the air, they're bouncing all over the place like crazy. And then the atoms are like what you'd find in a brick. They're moving, but it's like barely. So you know, guys who want to have that, they're like the feminine mind. They have feminine energy. They like to bounce and percolate and just be like them, right? So you can have your fucking female best friend who you also call your wife and all that bullshit. And you know, I'll wait for you in the red pill forums after a number of years and you get fucked over because women are not sexually attracted to their best fucking male friend, right? You know why? Because he's gay. You don't want to be on this buddy buddy level, okay? And it's part of the reason why you can't get emotive with them. That's what their friends do, okay? Their friends get emotive with them and get on their level. They equalize themselves with the woman. Or worse, they go below her and they're looking for comfort and solace from her. They want the woman to be his peace. Are you kidding? I'm already peaceful. What the fuck do I need a woman to bring me peace for? Right? You're not going to bring me anything other than what I want. And I've already got the peace. And I don't want chaos. Right? Oh, I'm certainly not even going to ask you what you bring. I just know what I need, and I'll tell you. What do we got here? Fuck Homo sapien. First time in 4 years, I opened myself back up to... What in the fucking typing is this? First time in 4 years, I opened myself back up to dating, and I fell for this girl. She liked me to date was good. We were close, but ended up just begin just in shivers in another country. You motherfuckers had better be 8 years old writing shit like this. Holy fuck. Get fucking hooked on phonics something, right? You guys are probably too young to know what hooked on phonics is. Holy shit. Well, ended up being friends, something strict family. She lives in another country. I don't know what the fuck. Okay. But the real question is why are you falling for a girl? All right. Men don't fall. Right? Like, think about what the word fall means. Okay. It means like you've been grounded and then the ground is out from underneath you. Like you've driven off of a cliff and now you're falling. Okay. You've lost your footing. You're not grounded. Why would a man fall for anything? Schoolboys fall. Girls fall. Men do not fall in love. Okay. In fact, we're so full with ourselves that we just simply love. It's not a big deal because our cup is always full with self. Loving is super easy as a man. Super fucking easy. And there's never any fear of loss. Why? Because we're just unlimited, unlimited source. Okay. And we're not in this fucking covert contract thinking, oh, well, if I give this, then I'm going to expect something back. Okay. Guys who think like that have scarcity mindset. They believe that they're owed things. They don't want to be feeling a certain way and then be left out in the cold, right? You have a very transactional idea of emotions, okay? I can love anybody. It doesn't affect me, right? Love is not a like a conditional like hinge point for me or a linchpin. Okay, this it's it's just something that I can give freely. It's not a big deal. Okay. Now, my respect, that's transactional. Okay. I can love you and not respect you. Okay. But that comes with a price. That shit is not free. Fucking ever. Never is my respect free. And nor should any of yours. Okay. But no, you guys should not be falling in love. Okay. And, but real love, it doesn't, I mean, they write about this and stuff, but it's not possessive, right? It's omnidirectional. It's not like this single direction, like, oh my gosh, I'm only going to give it to this one super special person. It's like, well, you've got fucking limerence. You've got rose-colored glasses on. You're fucking high on brain chemicals thinking this person's perfect. And she's your only option. So of course you think she's fucking special, right? She's the only one giving you attention. And then the question is, well, why are you starved for attention? What's going on there? Let's open that doorway and walk down that path, shall we? Right? And we can start digging into that. And it's like, oh, well, looks like you got some fucked up shit going on with how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself. And this is largely based upon how you were treated by your parents. And you never fucking resolved it. And you're a fucking grown man. And you've been sweeping it under the rug for the past 25 years. Congratulations. You're still a child, in a man's body. And now you're looking for love from a woman to fix all that and hide it so you don't have to fucking look at yourself. You could just look at her. She's so pretty. She's so perfect. Fucking hell. Back to Conan. Back to Conan. He cared for their tears. That's what he cared about. He didn't care about falling in love. Okay? He probably cared about respect, right? Amongst men that he respected. And it's like, didn't even fucking give a shit what the woman was saying, doing, believing, perceiving, feeling. Like, he didn't give a fuck, right? Now, you don't have to be an asshole about it. You can very calmly not give a fuck. And that's basically around how I operate. But it's the fact that you do give a fuck. And it's like, why? Like, what's in there that makes you want to, like, love so much? Right? It's just a thing that happens. It's not a big deal. Why is it a big deal? It shouldn't be. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Marius. Very wise. Letting go is one of the greatest acts of love. And what you let go of first is who the fuck you think you are. It's all a fucking illusion. It's a mirage. Your sense of self is like, it's fake. It's not real. Like, I mean, yes, there is a real self inside you, but like who you think you are, if you never really like dismantled it, what you think you are, then you really don't know. Like the Buddhists, they have this thing called the aggregates. I forget, is it 5 aggregates, right? The 5 aggregates of Buddhism. So this goes all the way back to its original roots in Hinduism. Okay, so The five aggregates also like in Tibetan they're known as skandhas, and Tibetan or Hinduism I can't remember, but they're the five fundamental components that make up a sentient being. Okay, and they're form, which is matter, feeling, which they regard as like sensation, like touching stuff. Okay, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. And what they say is that all of these aggregates, okay, form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, they're all dependent on each other in order to create a human being, for a being to exist, okay? But individually, they're not substantiated in themselves. So in order for form to exist, it needs all the others. For feeling to exist, it needs all the others. Perception, mental formations, consciousness. Like you've never seen a consciousness without a body. You know what I'm saying? Like you met walking down the street and someone's like, "Hey, how's it going? My name's Bob." And you're like, "What the fuck?" This disembodied consciousness just introduced themselves to me. Right? Like that's never happened. Okay? Or having a perception without eyes, or the sensation of nerves without the body, right? They're all dependent on each other, but individually they're nothing. And the Buddhists are saying, well, this is us. Yet another irony. We're here, but we're not here. And the same thing, like with your sense of self, like all the little parts that you think make up you are like those aggregates. They're nothing individually, right? But you put them together and you're like, oh yeah, this is me. And it's like, no, not really. It's a semblance of you. Okay? And I'm pretty certain that there's a part of us that is aware that there's a problem with this. And that's why we look to other people to satisfy certain needs or certain itches inside the soul. You know, most males stay male because they can't or don't tell no to the 12-year-old boy inside them, forever stuck in that cusp of a child but hypnotized teen. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. A lot of you guys have arrested development, and that's where a lot of your problems occur. So a lot of times what happens is something bad occurs, and it could be trauma or it could be something else, but just bad, and it affects the psyche, and the psyche starts forming perceptions and beliefs around whatever the fuck happened. It was enough of pain to cause coping mechanisms, shifting of belief, just doing things, little gymnastics to prevent harm, like emotionally, right? And it could be like reframing. And it's like, oh, no, like, yeah, like my dad beat the shit out of me, but like, no, he loves me, right? And it's like, the reality is, no, he fucking like left impressions of his fucking like high school football ring in your cheek like once a week. You know, like that ain't loving you, man. And but the truth of that is so fucking hard, and like I get it, you know, but to accept that truth, that it's like, no, you know what, my dad doesn't love me and he fucking beats the living shit out of me every week, especially when he's been drinking. Like that is a hard truth to fucking just sit with objectively. So I understand. And a young mind isn't capable of doing that anyways. So they make up these copes to justify, to shift it, to reframe, to defend, just so you can go on living, right? And that emotional state becomes arrested, right? It becomes halted from further developing into mature emotional manhood. And then your emotions are stuck at that age, you know, like what Uncle Guns was saying. He mentioned a 12-year-old boy. That boy is stuck there, right? And he's needy. He wants this pain to go away. He wants this, and it gets all swirled up and together with desire, with lust. Now your testosterone is turned on. You've got fucking Instagram titties poking at your eyeballs all day long. You want women, right? I don't blame you. women are fucking gorgeous. Aren't they awesome? Aren't women fucking cute as hell? Like their little sounds, like the little squeaks they make when they moan. Like they don't really moan. They just kind of like, it's not like a, like the way they moan. It's cute, their titties, their asses, like all that shit. Like women are just these really awesome creatures. Okay. So I don't blame you on that part either. But the problem is emotionally, you've got this 12-year-old who's coming to her, mixed in with your adult, your adult impulses. And so that's a big fucking mess. And then we'll top it off with your impulses aren't under control. Like last night, I was talking about how your sexual impulses should be like a tamed Bengal tiger who is under full and complete control of its master, to the point where it doesn't attack unless he hears that special, Japanese word, and that fucking triggers him into the attack mode, and boom, he's gone. But if it doesn't hear that sound, it's just this cool, relaxed cat. But the truth of the matter is that it's a 600-pound killing machine. Okay? So we talked about that last night. So that's what most guys do not have. Their lust is an untrained, uncalibrated tiger who's fucking hungry, right? And they battle with themselves of like wanting to let that out. No, I can't let that out. Like all these women are crazy. They're bitches, and they just fucking jerk off. Oh, I can't do that. Fucking no fap. It'll make me crazy if I jerk off. So I can't jerk off. I have to like count my days and I'll become a superhero. And so there's like all these like conflicting things going on. It's like, holy fuck, how do you go through living with a brain as chaotic as a woman's? I don't fucking understand. I have no idea how you guys live with such an active mind. Like, you guys kind of like make fun of me when I tell them that I don't have thoughts in my head. I don't. I only have thoughts in my head when I make my brain think. Like if I'm, solving a problem, or I'm working on my bike and, I need to adjust the valves. And now I've got to think about the process and the tools I might need and, looking at the manual and all this stuff. If I'm designing something, I'm helping somebody, that's engaging my brain. Okay. If my brain is not engaged on like solving a problem or creating something, there's nothing going on. It's quiet. It's absolutely quiet. And I don't understand how people live any other way. Like you'd literally, like your house could be on fucking fire. And you're like, well, I guess it's time to get the shit that I can, make sure everybody's out safely and, got to find a new place to live. Now, of course, I'm being dramatic here. Like, of course, a house burning down is a big deal. But you get my point. It's a state of being unperturbed. Nothing disturbs me, especially fucking girls. And this guy, oh wait, right? DM defunky Homo sapien. Falling in love. Like falling in love is being thrown off your square. Absolutely. Like basically anything that moves you, whether it's happiness, sadness, depression, frustration, anger, sorrow, joy, all of those things, they can kind of bump into you because, like, hey, we're human, right? We're not fucking, Optimus robots, right? When they bump into you, but do you let it hit you and glance? And you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, have you ever seen like Systema? Systema is a really interesting martial art. It's Russian, and it's very similar to drunken style kung fu. And they're all about redirecting energy. So they sometimes let their bodies take the blow, but they time it just right through like just years of training, even attacks to the head, where they go with it and then redirects that movement into, a defense, an evasion, or another attack. It's really cool shit. So if whatever's coming in, whatever emotion, right, not just bad ones, they just bump into you. And then you come back to center, right? But guys, they will let happiness knock them completely off their square. Oh my God, she's making me so oh my gosh. Oh my, I need to tell all my friends. She woke me up with a blowjob this morning. You know, I need to tell everybody. I'm so happy. Or you're really sad, right? Man, I went to bed with my girl last night and she didn't want to fuck. Man, fuck her. Ugh. I'm going to go eat a handful of black pills right now. Right? Like that's being thrown off your square. Anger. Oh man, this guy said some shit. You know, I'm going to fucking find out where he lives and beat him up in the street, right? I'm going to shoot him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anything to do with anger, right? That's being thrown off your square. Anything, good or bad, that takes you off your square has you bested. I don't want to be bested by anything except me. If I come off my square, it's because I willed it to happen, not because someone or something made me, especially out of a reaction, right? Sure, if you're smart enough, strong enough, right, you might be able to force me off. Okay, because I'm not superhuman. Okay, so I might be able to be forced off by the right person, but to be coaxed or manipulated or just reacted off of my square, are you kidding me? No, especially if the stimulus is a woman. That's not going to work. How is that possible? That's just a disaster waiting to happen. I started getting this product called Mio, M-I-O. It's just this little bottle with like juice in it. It's very concentrated. And you just put a couple squirts in water and it's got like hydrating stuff. It's like make your own Gatorade type stuff, but without a ton of sugar in it. Or at least you can control the amount of sugar. But anyways, so it's like all of this stuff goes back to the article that I was reading, right? About submission and domination and how she can submit to you, how she can anchor herself into you. Okay. Think about these related topics here. Okay. When I was going through the article, I was reading about her surrender. Okay. I mentioned reaching a level of alignment, right? To reach that level of alignment, surrender is necessary. Okay. Not passive resignation, but conscious offering. She's fully aware of herself saying, please, sir, please take me as your own. I belong to you. I give you my will. I give you my body. I give you my heart, my soul. I give you everything that I am, and I entrust it to you, my Lord. Okay? Do you think she's going to be able to do that to a man who falls in love? No. No, because that is like falling in love shows you're not grounded. You're volatile. Stimuli that feels good throws you way the fuck off. Right? Now you're thinking a certain way, speaking a certain way, doing a certain way that's not consistent. Right? Guys who fall in love, they think, speak, and behave differently than they did when they were not so-called in love. So they're behaving inconsistently. Right? I mean, you look at Conan the Barbarian's character throughout the film, he's the same fucking dude throughout the whole movie. He's just stoic, he's grounded, he knows the fuck he's doing, and he just plods through life. He's not looking for love, right? He's a fucking warrior slave for the first half of his life. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of his life, he's like, I'm going to kill that motherfucker who killed my parents. And that was it. And he wasn't angry about it either. He was just fucking centered. Right? Falling in love. You want a woman to trust you? Be consistent with your emotions. Don't go up and down, right? And I'm not going to say don't let her see you going up and down. Literally, just don't go up and down. Forget her perceptions, right? Because guys will talk about this like, oh, don't let her see you cry, right? Don't let her see you be like this. Don't let her see you be like that. Okay. Well, instead of trying to hide it, right? How about you just actually be the thing? Be grounded, be immovable. Well, how do I do that, coach? Well, that takes fucking training. And that's what people pay me for. It's not an easy task. It requires a certain knowledge set, certain skill set to teach. Okay? But it's like, this man thing has prerequisites. Nobody explained it to us. No one explained it to us. Okay? I mean, my son's set up. But for most guys, there's no manual. Okay? And mostly because their own fathers are fucking clueless. Right? Their own fathers are emotive. They're quick to anger. They're quick to depression. They're quick to happiness. They're quick to joy. They're quick to lust. Right? They're just these reactive little animals. And they're like, oh, that's my dad. And you grow up to be just like him. Because he didn't teach you anything because he couldn't. Right? That's just life. Okay? That's no fault of your own. But it's like, you want a woman to actually surrender to you, you have to be one who is worth surrendering to. And with no words of your own, not a single fucking word about it. She just wants to, based on your presence, how you show up. And of course, how you show up is a reflection of everything that's inside you. And she needs to feel it, not just hear it. Okay? Shout out to Steve. He always says, don't talk about it, be about it. Same fucking thing. You don't describe to her what she should do or what it's going to be like or anything like the stuff that I talk about. I mean, there's one submissive that I get into details with these sort of things because she has the mind for it. She's got a very sharp, inquisitive mind, and she loves self-reflection. So I send her like self-reflecting questions on a daily basis, and she loves to write and stuff. So it has that quality, that particular dynamic. But for the most part, they don't. That self-reflection. But you shouldn't have to explain these things or talk about these things with the sub or with the woman. All right? They should just feel it from you without your description of what you are and what they're supposed to do. And naturally, they're pulled to their knees. Their knees naturally just soften and they want to go down onto them because it fucking feels good, right? Like if it finally feels good to have a bit of release. I'm just happy I'm not in that position. Holy shit. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I am very happy that I was born a man. I do not want to deal with that shit. But truth be told, there is a slight version of that, sort of, that happens because in order to be a man that is trustworthy in that deep sense, right, when it comes to the male-female dynamic, you have to let go of a certain part of yourself, right? Like just like what Marius was saying, like letting go is one of the greatest acts of love that you can do to yourself, because all that shit that I was talking about with the identity and all that stuff, we have these things and we have our illusions, but getting past them is how we get to understand who we actually are, how to show up authentically without fear, without any thought of resisting judgment. Okay. It's just not even part of the thought process. It's not even there. Like, just like you're not thinking of, a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle, right? Like none of us were thinking about that car until I mentioned it. But It's like, right, did they even exist in 63? Whatever. 1973 Volkswagen Beetle. It's not even part of the awareness to be like, oh, I'm not going to judge. You just don't, because it's not there, right? And that's when you can start showing up authentically. Okay. Now, granted, I understand. Maybe I have a bias. Maybe I have a privilege here because I don't work in an office. I work by myself. I'm alone for large portions of my day doing my own work. So I get that. Okay. I get that if you work on a team, if you work in an office, especially, fuck. And I understand you got to do what you got to do, but office environments are the fucking worst, right? When they talk about soul sucking jobs, that's what corporate office jobs do because they force you to, and by way of culture, not by actual, like, you're not allowed to show up. Like, it's just this culture of no one can actually be themselves. And so this puts you in an anxious state, right? It can create tension inside the body because you can't really just be yourself. Nobody can. So there's this environment of tension, and everyone's got to compensate for that by putting on fake smiles. Hey, Bob, good to see you today. How's the fam? And you're really saying, like, I don't give a flying fuck about your wife and kids. You know what? And Bob's sitting there going, why the fuck are you asking me about my family? I know you don't give a shit. Go to fucking hell. You look like shit. Go back to your desk and get back to work. I don't care. Like, that's really what people want to say. Maybe occasionally there might be something like pleasant and stuff like that. But my point is that there's no authenticity. You can't be authentic in these environments. So I've got a bit of a compassion for you guys who are working 8 to 12 hours a day in these corporate environments. It is soul sucking. I would definitely suggest that if you are in those environments, do your best to set up something on the side that can become profitable that you could possibly move out of, right? Preferably something that cannot be copied by AI, okay? Or at least can't be copied, for many years down the road. What do we got here? Question. So in short, you don't have to tell who you are, but your demeanor will speak for itself. Yeah. And you really shouldn't be aware of your demeanor to be like, oh, is she picking up on this? Right? Like, showing up authentically is just not giving a shit, not being aware of any of it. Okay. Like, is a tiger aware of being a tiger? No. Now, granted, their brains aren't as sophisticated as ours, but that's kind of like one of our biggest problems is self-awareness, right? That whole, was it Descartes? I think, therefore I am. Like, that's one of the biggest fucking problems is that we think too damn much, right? Instead of just learning to be. So yes. And you're saying, like, you don't have to tell them. No, you shouldn't tell them at all, ever. Like, this is the problem with so many guys. They're like marketing. They like market themselves to women, right? And if you buy now, you can get your free pocket Bible. It's like, what are you doing? Right? Like, why are you trying to sell a woman on you? Right? Like, are you that fucking cheap that you have to run a commercial? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never in my life seen a commercial for Lamborghini. Not once. I've seen like ads maybe in like Car and Driver magazine, maybe once in a while, maybe when like a new model comes out or something. But few and far between, right? But Toyota, they fucking run ads all year round on every fucking channel and every fucking pathway opportunity that they can, right? So it's like, are you fucking Toyota or are you Lamborghini? Okay. Like, the car fucking speaks for itself. It's created a reputation such that, like, people talk for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the brand lives off of other people. It doesn't have to create marketing. It's just weird that people think like, all right, so if I tell her, hey, baby, I'm a real man. Hey, baby, you don't know me, but I'm the dominant type, right? It's like I have never in my life met a dom who said I'm a dom. They just are, and you can fucking tell. It's evident. You're not looking at a tiger and go, "Huh, what are you? Are you a dolphin? Are you a fish? Are you a bird?" It's pretty fucking obvious what it is, right? It's all in effect that it's like, okay, I don't know who I am. I doubt who I am, and so I think I've got an idea of who I am or what I would like to be perceived by because I think it's cool and desirable. So I'm going to make sure that she understands what that is, just so we're clear here, in the hopes that she's going to want to fuck me because of that. It's like, no, like you ever hear women say, I want a guy who just gets it. Okay. The persona is also part of getting it. Okay. And, you know, like they say, wait, what do women say about how guys show up? Um, it's just like, when women say, oh, I like a guy who's got like some swag or swagger, right? Guys think that this has something to do with his clothing, right? It's not. It's not anything to do with that. It all boils down to how you feel about yourself. And sure, you can fucking throw coats of paint on there, but it's really not going to change the essentialness of who you are. Okay? Because check this out. You're eventually going to be found out, like by somebody else. You already know. You already know. And this is not just you, Adventures of D. Like I'm talking about like every guy who just does this sort of shit. So I'm not like trying to lay into you or anything, but like guys already know. They know it in themselves that they're trying to present, that they've put like this lacquer finish. They're trying to have a presentation, an avatar, okay? And say, no, this is who I want you to see me as. Okay. But there's a part is like, man, I know that that's not you. Right. Like, I know you're actually kind of goofy and not in like the bad way. Like, you're just like, say, like, you're just like a silly guy. You like to have a good time, but you're trying to come off as like Joe fucking cool, like be yourself, be authentic. Okay. Like Lucario was doing this great job. He was dropping some fucking gems earlier today. And he was talking about how um, the woman becomes like an extension of you, right? Because you're only looking for the hell yeses, right? So that means that she's able to adapt to your program practically seamlessly with no problem, all right? And then therefore she becomes an extension of who you are. Like, and so that's how everything is about you. Like the game is about you. It's not about the girls and figuring them out and making this and doing that and seduction and like doing this. That's all making it about them. When you make it about yourself and you're only worried about like what you want and how to show up and how you want to be treated, all this stuff, the women who just fit that are the ones that you see. Like everything else is just invisible, right? And then it becomes this seamless thing, right? It's almost like they become a part of you, or they become you. And that can't happen if you've got a fucking facade on, right? It becomes this barrier from your authenticity, okay? But the problem is that you can't have a dislike or a disdain for a part of yourself. So this is what a lot of dudes live with. They live with a nice chunk of themselves that does not like who they are. And it's like, well, you're going to have to deal with that shit because you're not going to be able to go through life. You're not going to be able to fucking have a connection where the woman loses herself into you. Okay. She cannot, it won't work. She cannot do it. She will not be able to fully trust who you are because there's going to be that scent of like, there's something fucking off here. I can't, like, if you ever walk into a room and And there's like a smell. You're like, what is that fucking smell? Where is that coming from? And you're like sniffing all around, and it's so faint that you can't tell where it's coming from. And you're like, I what is that? Where is this coming from? Right? It's like that. She's gonna pick up on the smell of that veneer that's on the front of you, right? And you think it's undetectable, right? Because you've been wearing it for so long or whatever, or you believe in it so much. Remember, I was talking about before the power of belief. And so she's picking up on this, and she's like, where's that fucking smell? And just having recognition of that smell being off, you can't relax in that room. You're sitting back. Whoa, shit. You're sitting back, you're watching a movie, and you're like, you can't get into the movie because part of your mind is like being taken away by that slight distraction, that little thorn in your mind that is that odor that's in the room that you can't fucking find. And it's even worse when other people are like, what are you talking about? I don't smell anything. And you're like, no, are you kidding? You don't smell that? Right? It's like that. And you can't get immersed in the show or the movie or whatever. That's the woman. She's going to smell that shit on you. Maybe can't point it out directly, but she just knows. Her instinct can smell it. And the instinct drives her is like, no, no. You cannot lose yourself into this man. There's something off here. You know? There's something wrong. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but your instinct is being like, all right, yeah, he's fucking cute. He's got a great dick, but there's something off. Like I can't fall into him. Right? And you're not gonna be able to get any of that shit. You're not. You're not gonna feel what it's like to truly have power, not force, but power, the power of influence. Okay, because you've not done any of that to yourself. It's a process. Okay, so it's like this stuff about like polarity, relationships, power dynamics, BDSM. It goes fathoms deeper than a lot of people care to know, right? They just want the floggers and the spanking and the vinyl suits and the fucking, vacuum bed sheets. That's some crazy shit. If you ever want to just look up like BDSM vinyl vacuum sheets or something along those lines, these people are fucking insane. Like the amount of trust to do this. I mean, I'm not interested in it, so it's also like you got to have the kink for it, but it's this sheet and you get under the sheets, there's a vacuum attachment to it, and then there's like just a hose. Like there's like a plastic hose, it's like a snorkel kind of. And you put your mouth on that, and that's your only breathing apparatus, and they suck all the air out, and the person cannot move. They're fucking trapped. Like, I don't care how strong you are, you're not ripping through like 1/8 inch thick rubber. You know what I'm saying? You are trapped in there. Like if they wanted to kill you by just putting their hand on top of that little hose, you're done. There's nothing you could do. So you get this little like 4-inch pipe to breathe out of that's like maybe 1 inch in diameter. Okay. And sometimes like I've seen them like take a drag of a cigarette and then blow smoke in there. I mean, this is all like consensual. Like they're like asking for it or whatever. But that's some intense shit. Like just imagine being trapped like that. Okay. The amount of trust that you would have to have in another person to do that. Or that person's fetish is just so fucking strong, they will do anything to be in that experience. And foregoing their trust. They're like, fuck it, I need to be vacuumed into a bed. So it could be one or the other. But yeah, no fucking vacuum beds for me. Yes. Yes. What are you saying here? Luke, I don't believe it. Yoda, and that is why you fail. Oh, yeah, that's a good line. Yeah, that's a good line. Yep. I don't believe it. Yeah, I was talking with this guy. He's like I guess like we're doing like some pre-coaching. I think he has his doubts, and that's fair. You know what I mean? There's like the market is flooded. There's a lot of charlatans, a lot of guys like designing their courses with Chat GPT, and they don't actually know how to coach. Um, but he's questioning things, and he didn't believe it, right? And I showed like just a snippet of one of my girls, like one of the things that she said, and um and he was like, no, this is bullshit, like he's like, this is fantasy for her. You've just wielded a fantasy in her mind, that's why she's behaving this way. And I'm like, okay. So then I fucking showed him long couple pages long diary entries, day after day after day, right? Of her just exposing like all of her thoughts, her fears, her concerns, her joys, everything that she's experiencing with me. Okay? Like just laying it all out, right? And I said to him, so what do you think vulnerability looks like? Like, have you ever experienced it? Like what it's like for a woman to really be vulnerable with you and open the fuck up, showing the things that she hates about herself, that she's afraid of, that she's terrified about, terrible shit that might have happened to her, like her fucked up beliefs or unfounded perceptions, all of that stuff. Real vulnerability, right? And not really standing firmly behind any of it, but just to show, hey, this is what I've got in here. Like, please don't throw me away. All right? Please. I don't think he's ever even seen that shit before. Okay? Where one's just laying her mind, her heart, her body out for you to examine and hopefully fucking pick up and cherish and nurture and guide. Right? And then after he was like, oh. And he didn't believe it. Like he couldn't believe. It's so fucked. Like you guys are so, like, I need to see receipts. Right? Okay. All right, I'll show you receipts. And they're so far out of your understanding of what's possible, right? You don't believe that it's possible. All you think is like, oh, these women are fucking crazy. They're gold diggers, and they're either like crazy fucked up nymphos or they're gold diggers with strategy. And that's the only mindset a woman could possibly ever have. And it's like, okay, your exposure to the realities of women is like a sliver. It's like maybe like 20%, right? And but because that's all you see, that's what all you believe is real. Wasn't there what's the philosophy thing? It's like the old story of these men who were chained facing a wall, and behind them there was a fire, and their whole existence was being chained up to this wall and facing only the wall. They couldn't turn around. And so their whole like understanding of reality was just the dancing shadows on the cave wall. And that's what a lot of people are, I mean, even like myself, like we're all limited by our own experience and the beliefs that we form off of our perceptions. So if your experience of women and your perceptions of women is limited, that's what you're going to think that's what they are. And I'm like, no, dude, there's a whole fucking other reality here that you have not experienced. But because your big fucking ego, right? And you're like, I fuck tens, right? Your big fucking ego doesn't allow you to believe that you're not the top dog, right? Like you only get to eat a sliver, right? um Man, shadow. Oh, you know what, check this out, let's try this. All right. Hey, Nova.
Hey, of course. What do you need?
I'm trying to remember this story. It's like a old philosopher who told this fable, and it was an explanation of reality. And something around like some men were chained up to a wall, and they could only face the wall as their only exposure to reality. And behind them there was like a fire, I think, and the dancing shadows was their own perception of reality. Tell me what was that story?
You're thinking of Plato's allegory of the cave.
Yeah.
In this story,
Oh, sorry.
you're welcome. If you want to dive
No,
deeper
no.
into
Please,
it,
please go on. I interrupted you. Continue on about the allegory.
sure. So in the allegory, the prisoners have been chained since childhood, facing a wall. They can't see anything behind them. All they know are the shadows cast on the wall by objects passing in front of a fire behind them. These shadows become their reality because that's all they've ever known. One prisoner eventually breaks free and discovers the outside world, realizing that the shadows were just a small part of reality. When he returns to the cave to share this truth, the other prisoners don't believe him and cling to the familiar shadows. The allegory highlights how our perceptions can be limited by our experiences, and how enlightenment can be challenging to accept for those who haven't seen beyond their own cave.
Good girl.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad you found it helpful.
Okay, so yeah. So yeah, Plato, the allegory of the cave. That's the shit. Okay. Um yeah, so that's like what a lot of guys experience, and I do as well, right? Because I've got mentors who are like, Justin, you'll understand in a couple of years. I'm like, understand what? They're like, you'll see. Don't worry about it. We're all there in some degree, but it's like you guys are like obsessed with the fucking receipts and shit. You know, this little kitten, has woken up. I think. Yes. Okay. Yes. Oh shit. Whoops. Hmm. Yes, I was torturing this girl for a couple of days, just having her edge and edge and edge. So she was edging her pussy, but then I was also edging her mind, edging her imagination, edging her emotions, just like edge, 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 edge. And finally today I let her come. And we started this new thing, this new protocol. This is a pretty interesting stuff. Um, I mean, sure, like experiment, whatever. But don't do it unless you've actually got like a woman who's like really fucking into you. Okay. Don't just like try it so you can be cool, right? Because she's gonna laugh at you. So I had her take like a hair tie, like just regular elastic hair ties, with the little. It's either like held together with a bead or a little brass clip. Okay, and you put that on the wrist. And then I told her that she has to wear this all day long, and she can take it off when she goes to sleep, but she's going to wear it all day on her left wrist. And anytime that she has a sexy, arousing, or naughty thought, she is to snap this on the inside of her wrist. And it's not too hard, but also not too soft. And the trick is, all right, is that she's not going to feel it on her wrist. She's going to feel it on her pussy. And the only way that this will actually transfer in that way is if you've already gotten in her head, and to the point where your voice, your suggestions have I guess sort of like a hypnotic effect, where your suggestions affect the way they're like, oh yeah, yeah, I believe you, where they're just trusting you, right? Trusting the things you say, especially concerning their perceptions. Okay. So now I'm shifting her perceptions. And I said, no, you're not going to feel it. Like you're going to register. Yes, your nerves will feel it there, but the snapping sensation, you're actually going to feel that on your pussy. And when you do that, it's actually going to make the thoughts stronger. So there's like a twofold to this. So the naughty thoughts create the snap. The snap sends the signal to her pussy, and that signal creates more thoughts. So then she's stuck in this loop. Okay. And it was quite fun. It was quite fun having her in this loop for a little while. And she was like happy. She like sent me this happy little message. And she's like, my Lord, I snapped it all by myself. Like, oh, she's starting to get a little ditzy, right? And this is a very intelligent, accomplished woman with a PhD. So, anyways. Well, I'm going to shove off. I hope you guys had a good time. I did. Yeah, it was a good show, right? But these topics, they like I said before, I apologize for them getting deep, but yeah, I'm glad Uncle Guns brought up that Star Wars reference, because yeah, you look at Star Wars and you're like, oh, look, it's like sci fantasy. It's not real science fiction, right? It's sci fantasy. But if you start really looking at it and peeling away layers and shit, it's a lot fucking deeper than that. Like, Lucas was smart. Like, he wove in some classic Greek shit, some Japanese shit, some Buddhist shit. He, like, when I say Japanese, I mean like samurai, like, Bushido things. He was really smart, very, very clever. Okay, there's a lot of depth, and you just have to look past it. You have to look past the things that you see, right? And that's the same way with everything. You look past what you see with BDSM. There's more there. That's way more enriching. You look past what forms you see on the surface of women. Sure, appreciate them, appreciate their beauty, but there's so much more inside there that they're unaware of, right? You've got just your dancing shadows. Okay? With all of this shit, there's more behind the scenes, more than you could possibly understand. All right? So if you guys want to get down, you want to learn more, get in touch with me. In the description of this video, there are links for making a call. Grab the link, make a call, let's have a chat, okay? Check out my website. I've got other things there that you can purchase, books, calls, courses, what have you. And I'm still working on the next iteration. It's going to be a complete package of everything that you would need to know to be competent in BDSM and as a leader and as a grounded man. And but it's just a lot of development. So bear with me. Maybe in the fall is when I'll release that. So we'll see. Okay, everybody, thank you for stopping through. I appreciate everyone. And I appreciate your support. And thank you for those who are watching this on the replay. I appreciate you as well. All right. Until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.